I want to tell you a story. It is a simple story, but it holds something important. It is about a boy, his quiet life, and how one person changed it without saying much. This story is not full of big words or difficult sentences. It is written for those who want to learn English and feel something while they learn. As you listen, you will hear real English, the kind people use every day. You will hear short sentences, clear words, and deep feelings. If you want to improve your English, listen closely. If you want to feel something real, listen until the end. This is the story of a closed heart and how it slowly opened. I grew up in a small house by the river. It was quiet there. The water moved slowly, and the trees made soft sounds in the wind. My father and I lived alone. My mother left when I was very young. I do not remember her face. My father never talked about her. When I asked where she went, he said, "She is gone." That was all. I stopped asking. Our house was old, but it was enough. We had one small table, 2 chairs, and a radio that did not work. My room was small too. It had 1 bed, 1 window, and many books. I liked reading. Books were quiet. Books did not ask questions. My father fixed cars in a small shop near the house. He worked long hours. He came home tired, ate his dinner in silence, and went to bed early. We did not talk much. We never hugged. He was not cruel. He just lived in his own quiet world, and I lived in mine. On weekends, I walked by the river. I watched the water, the birds, the sky. I listened to the wind and the sound of my own steps. I liked the silence. I liked being alone. People made noise. People made promises they could not keep. I did not trust them. I did not need them. I told myself this was enough. A house, a river, my father, my books. I did not miss anything. At least, that is what I believed. At school, I was different. The other boys played together. They ran, shouted, laughed. I sat alone. I did my work and left when the bell rang. I did not talk to anyone. I did not want to. Some boys tried to speak to me. They asked if I wanted to play. I said no. They asked again the next day. I said no again. After a while, they stopped asking. That was what I wanted. I did not believe in friends. I did not believe in people. My father said, "People leave. Don't expect them to stay." I listened to him. He was right. My mother left. Friends leave. People change. I thought it was better to be alone. Girls were the same. Some smiled at me. Some said hello. I did not answer. I saw how they smiled at many boys. One day they liked someone, the next day someone else. I did not trust them. I did not trust their words. I thought they were not real. So I stayed alone. I sat in the corner. I did my work. I went home. I walked by the river. I read my books. I kept my world small. It felt safe that way. It felt clean. No one could lie. No one could leave. No one could hurt me. I told myself I didn't need people. I told myself I didn't want friends. I believed it. I made it true. My heart was closed, and that was how I liked it. Years passed. I finished school and stayed home. I helped my father in the car shop. He was older now. His hands moved slower, but he still worked every day. I followed his steps. I woke up early, washed my face, ate a small breakfast, and went to the shop. The days were always the same. The shop smelled of oil and metal. The sound of tools filled the air. Cars came in, we fixed them, and they left. My hands became strong. My face stayed still. I worked all day, spoke little, and went home when the sun went down. Dinner was quiet. My father and I ate in silence. Sometimes we nodded, sometimes we said one or two words, but we never talked. We never needed to. After dinner, he went to bed. I sat for a while, listening to the sound of the wind or the river outside. Then I went to sleep too. Life was simple. Life was quiet. I did not feel sad. I did not feel happy. I just lived. I told myself this was enough. I had work. I had food. I had a roof over my head. I did not need more. I had no dreams. I had no plans. I did not hope for anything. I thought hope was for fools. I thought dreams were for people who wanted too much. I was fine, I told myself. Fine without people. Fine without love. Fine with silence and routine. My life was small, but it was clean. Nothing moved. Nothing changed. And that made it easy. It was a normal day. The sky was gray and the air smelled like rain. I woke up early, ate a piece of bread, and walked to the shop. My father was already there. He was working on a car like always. He nodded when he saw me. I nodded back. No words. I picked up my tools and started working. The sound of engines and hammers filled the air. I liked that sound. It was steady. It did not change. The hours passed slowly, just like every other day. Then she walked in. I heard the door open. I looked up. A girl stood there.
She looked around the shop, then stepped closer. She was young, not much older than me. Her face was calm. Her eyes moved slowly, taking everything in. She stopped near the workbench. "Hi," she said. "I have a problem with my car." I wiped my hands on a cloth and looked at her. I did not smile. I did not ask questions. I just said, "What's wrong?" She explained the sound the car was making. I listened, but only a little. I just wanted to fix the car and go back to my work. I nodded, opened the hood, and started. She stood nearby and watched. I did not speak. She said, "Thank you." I gave a short nod and kept working. After a while I finished. I handed her the keys. "It's done," I said. She looked at me. "You're quiet," she said, smiling a little. I did not answer. She laughed, but it was soft, not loud, not like the others. It didn't bother me. She took the keys, said thank you again, and walked out. I thought that was the end. But it wasn't. The next day she came back. At first I thought her car had another problem, but she just stood near the door and looked around. She didn't say anything. I ignored her and kept working. After a few minutes she walked closer. "Can I watch?" she asked. I frowned. "Watch what?" "You. Working." I shook my head. "There's nothing to see." She smiled. "That's okay. I'll wait outside." I didn't understand her. Why was she here? What did she want? People don't come back for no reason. But she did. The next day, she returned again. She didn't bring a car. She didn't ask for anything. Sometimes she stood near the wall. Sometimes she sat outside on a bench. Sometimes she asked small questions. But most of the time, she was just quiet. My father noticed her too. One day he said, "She's different." I didn't reply. I didn't want to talk about her. But I thought about her, even when I didn't want to. One evening, I saw her by the river. She was sitting on a rock, watching the water. I walked past her, but she turned and smiled. "Do you like the river?" she asked. No one had ever asked me that before. I nodded. She didn't say more. She just looked at the water. It felt strange. Her silence wasn't empty. It wasn't heavy. It was soft, like she was saying something without using words. I told myself she would leave soon, that she was just curious. But she didn't. Every day she came back. Every morning she stood by the shop. Every evening she sat by the river. One afternoon she brought coffee. She placed it near me. "For you," she said. I looked at the cup, then at her. "I don't drink coffee," I said. She smiled. "Then I'll bring tea next time." I frowned. "Why?" She shrugged. "Because you work hard." I didn't answer. I picked up my tools and turned away. But out of the corner of my eye, I saw my father take the coffee and smile at her. He liked her. I didn't understand why, but I noticed that I didn't want her to stop coming, even if I never said it out loud. She started coming in the evenings too. Sometimes she didn't talk. Sometimes she just sat nearby, listening to the sound of the river or the tools in the shop. She didn't ask questions I didn't want to answer. She didn't try to make me speak. She was just there. And I let her be. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know what I was feeling. But something was changing, and I couldn't stop it. One evening, she came to the shop again. The sky was pink and orange. The light made the tools shine. I was working on a car. She didn't say much, just sat in her usual spot, quiet, watching. After some time, she stood up and walked over. She placed something on the table next to me. It was a small box, simple, brown. She said, "For you." I frowned. "Why?" She smiled. "Open it later." Then she turned and left. I didn't open it right away. I stared at it for a long time. My hands were still dirty from work. I didn't know what to do with it. Gifts were not part of my life. That night I sat on my bed and looked at the box again. I touched the edge, slowly opened the top. Inside was a keychain, a small silver key hanging from a black string. It was clean, quiet, and plain. Just like me. I didn't understand why she gave it to me. I didn't know what it meant. But I didn't put it away. I didn't throw it out. I held it in my hand for a long time. Then I placed it in my pocket. The next morning she came as usual. She smiled like always, as if nothing had happened. I wanted to ask her about the keychain, but I didn't know how, so I said nothing. I just kept working. She watched. Nothing was said, but something was different. That evening, as the sun went down, she asked me something. "Do you ever think about leaving this town?" I looked at her. "Why?" She shrugged. "Just wondering, do you ever want to see something else?" I shook my head. "This is my home." She smiled. "Home is not always a place." I didn't understand what she meant, but I didn't ask. After she left, I put my hand in my pocket and touched the keychain.
It was warm from my body. It felt real. It felt like something that shouldn't be forgotten. I didn't want to care about it, but I did. The days passed. She still came every morning. She still sat by the river every evening. I didn't wait for her, but I noticed when she wasn't there. I didn't ask for her, but I looked for her face when the shop door opened. I didn't speak much, but I listened more when she did. One evening, the sky was soft and blue. The wind was quiet. I saw her by the river again, in her usual spot. I walked over without thinking. She didn't say anything. She just looked at the water, her hands resting on her knees. I sat next to her. After a while, she turned to me. Her eyes were calm, but her voice was softer than usual. "If I leave one day," she said, "will you miss me?" The words hit me like a wave. I stared at her, unsure what to say. My chest felt tight. I wanted to speak, but nothing came out. I opened my mouth, then closed it. I looked down at the ground, then at the river, then at her again. I wanted to say no. I wanted to say it wouldn't matter, but I couldn't. She watched my face for a moment, then smiled. It was not the same smile as before. This one was small, a little sad. "It's okay," she said softly. "I already know the answer." I didn't stop her when she stood up. I didn't follow her when she walked away. I just sat there, listening to the water and the wind. That night, I couldn't sleep. Her question echoed in my mind, over and over. The quiet of the room felt heavier than usual. I turned in bed, stared at the ceiling, and asked myself something I had never asked before. What if she leaves? I didn't know the answer, but for the first time, I was afraid to find out. The next morning, she did not come. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe she was busy. Maybe something small came up. I kept my head down and worked harder than usual. I tried to ignore the feeling in my chest, but I still looked at the door. Every time it opened, I hoped it was her. It never was. The shop felt different without her. It was still full of sound, tools, engines, hammers, but everything felt quiet inside me. I didn't know why. That evening, I walked to the river. Her spot on the bench was empty. The sky was gray. The wind was colder than before. I stood there for a long time, looking at the water, waiting for nothing. The next day, she was still gone. I told myself again it didn't matter, that I didn't care, that I didn't need her there, but I couldn't believe my own words. The hours moved slowly. The shop felt cold, even with the heat of engines. I dropped tools. I made mistakes. My father asked if I was tired. I said I was fine, but I wasn't. That evening I went to the river again. The bench was still empty, but something was different. There was a small piece of paper sitting on the wooden seat. I walked over and picked it up. It was a note. The paper was soft and folded in half. I opened it with shaking hands. It said, "I had to leave, but I was right. You will miss me." My chest tightened. I read the words again. Then again. I didn't want to believe them. I didn't want to feel them. But I did. She was right. I missed her. I missed her quiet voice, her soft steps, her small smile. I missed the way she sat by the river, the way she asked strange questions, the way she didn't try to fix me. I missed everything. That night, I sat on my bed with the keychain in my hand. I turned it slowly between my fingers. It felt heavier now, like it meant something I had never understood before. She was gone. But she was still here, in my thoughts, in my silence, in the part of me that she had touched without ever trying. I had spent my whole life closing doors, but without knowing it, I had left one open. Days passed. She did not return. I still went to the shop. I still fixed cars. I still walked by the river in the evening, but everything felt different now. Her absence followed me. It lived in the spaces where she used to sit, in the sound of the river, in the quiet of the air. I thought about her words. I thought about the way she waited, the way she stayed, the way she saw me even when I said nothing. I remembered how I never asked her to come, but she came anyway. I never asked her to stay, but she did. And when she finally left, I didn't try to stop her. I told myself I didn't need anyone. I believed that for years, but now I knew the truth. She had opened something inside me. Slowly, gently, without force. She didn't break down the walls. I had let her in, piece by piece, without even knowing it. And now she was gone, but the space she filled was still there. I stood by the river again, holding the keychain in my hand. It was warm from my touch. The wind moved through the trees. The water was quiet. I missed her.
And I didn't want to be.